Hey guys, thanks for checking out another Dispriest commentary video. This time it is Fatescribe Roh-Kalo. Um, Coming from Painsmith a few weeks ago, you sort of Gigablast Guardian down, and then you have Fatescribe. Fatescribe, it's not a really difficult fight. It's not super easy either. I think we killed this in about 50 or 60 pools, which, yeah, it's not too bad. It's like, a couple of raid nights. Also, we're at the point of the tier now where you can pretty much just cheese all of phase 3 by ensuring you have all of your cooldowns up and just hitting lust, and then just burning the boss before he wipes the raid through the rune mechanic. So you essentially just ignore the runes, you just blast the boss as quick as you can, and yeah, you essentially skip all the phase 3 mechanics. So that's really nice, makes the fight a lot easier. Let's see, we 4-healed this. I'll just kick off the video. Sorry for the noise, got some noisy raid members. So in pool, I just atoned the tanks. I wasn't actually sure which tank was picking up the boss this fight, so I ended up just atoning both of them. There's a Twist of Fate, so you see I just covered with like 3 shields and a Radiance into Schism just to help cover that. I have yeah, I have a weak audit that shows the timers for the things that I need to look out for. So for example, my assigned CDs, and also just whenever there's a Twist Fate, I just want to see a timer in the middle of my screen for whenever there's a Twist Fate. I fully wasn't expecting us to kill the boss this night. We had loads of phase 1 wipes, and actually we only got to phase 2 I think twice all night. I don't think anyone was expecting this one to be the kill, but I was messing around with my my settings and increasing the what's the word I'm looking for, the timer from which to start showing these. So usually I think I'd have it on like 20 seconds. But then I found that I wasn't really prepared when they started coming up. So for this pool only, I increased it to 30 seconds, and I quickly found out on pool that these 3 bars, like, it's just too much. So this isn't my optimal setup for this. But yeah, just wanted to explain that. The bombs come out. This is one of my assigned ramps. I also throw down a barrier for the tank explosion. Actually does a big chunk of damage, so it's good to have the barrier there. This is a boon ramp. I think most of my ramps actually coincided with the beams going off, so it could get quite tricky to get everything off, especially if you get bad beams and you have to, do a big move. It's me soaking my Grim Portent. Essentially, our goal for this was to get the boss down to 72% before he gets the second ad cast, which I think we did this one. Just about. The main damaging ability, you'll see in the top, the bottom right here, I've got all my details windows. The main damaging ability that you need to be looking out for as a healer is this Twist Fate. I think it does like 13k damage every second for like 6 seconds, or maybe 13k every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. Either way, he applies it to the whole raid at the same time quite regularly. You're pretty much going to want to make sure that for each one of those you have just a single radiance to put into that. I think you should typically have healer cooldowns assigned for each of those. But yeah, if you just make sure you've got saved 1 radiance just for each time it comes up, just so that you can help out. It's and one thing you should also be careful about is when the boss gets below 72%, he will stop doing all of his mechanics except Twist Fate. So he'll stop doing the beams, he'll stop doing the bombs, he won't spawn any more tank ads. So what he does instead, which is actually insane, is he just essentially spam casts Twist Fate, and you'll have like an 80-90% uptime on the Twist Fate debuff, which will just chunk your raid. When we first started doing this boss, we were doing the tactic where you want to hold him, you want to get him to 72 so he stops doing his mechanics, and then you essentially want to hold him there, I think until 2 minutes, into the fight. So then that way you've got the intermission, and when you come out the intermission, your 2 and 3 minute cooldowns are back up, and then you rinse repeat that. But what we found when we were doing that was just it was just really hard to heal because he was just spam casting to his fate and people were just like falling over and it got quite dangerous. So we ended up opting for something different. That I think the goal was to get into phase 3, so the last stage of the fight, at 5 minutes, and we essentially told people to hold their 3 minute cooldowns in the phase 2. Yeah, here we go. So the boss is phasing. Obviously, when you enter the intermission, you start sort of slowly getting blown out. And if you're still standing on the rings after like 5 seconds or so, he will like blast you back. So you just want to make sure that you don't have these orbs that rotate around the room. You want to make sure you don't get blasted into those because that'll pretty much one-shot you. The mythic mechanic in the intermission, and I'll just pause it here to show you, is these ads have this despair cast, which typically on other difficulties you could interrupt. On Mythic you can't. And essentially what it does is it applies a dot that I think lasts 2 seconds, and I think it does around 30 to 40k in total. But you can outrange it or you can line of sight it. So the melee, I wonder if I can get a better shot. The melee will be line of sighting it around this brazier, I think that's how you say it. And then range, just want to make sure that you're staying over 20, I think it's 25 yards away. But if someone gets accidentally clipped, it's not the end of the world, it's totally healable. And then another thing that, yeah, this isn't really a general tactic vid, I'm trying to make it more disc priest, but one thing you should watch out for is if people get hit by the exposed threads of fate. This will typically be the people that are doing the runes, and essentially what it is, you can see the lines here. Each of the active runes will be connected to the boss, and if you touch that, you get hit by a hard dot. So one thing I always do is just I think I use voodoo. I set up voodoo just to notify me if anyone gets that debuff, which is what I did. I think I popped a pains up on this one. Usually it'd get quite messy, especially people taking damage from the despair, and then also getting hit by the exposed threads. So yeah, just make sure that anyone that has those debuffs is just, you've got some eyes on them. Let's see, we killed the ads. And then if you are holding, typically what we'd do is we'd complete all the runes, kill the ads, and then we'll let the outermost ring just hold the ring next to the slot where it needs to go until you're ready to push, and then you just move it in. That's typically how we held in the intermissions. So new Shadow Fiend ramp here. Just got my Rapture. Just got to be careful of the bulls. They won't kill you, but they do a lot of damage. You can see our Paladin was just running around with an immunity, clearing them out. I think you can also, if you have an effect on you that makes you immune to movement impairing effects, you can walk into the ball and it will clear it and it won't even damage you. So like Blessing of Freedom is the best one I can think of off the top of my head. Bombs. There's the tank explosion coming out. I'll just throw a few shields out and a radiance just to heal up from the tank weapon. Sorry, the tank explosion.
I really not slow now. He almost hit me.
I saw that like just so important.
Focus, guys, shut up.
Super important, obviously, is if you get it, you have to make sure that you move as soon as possible. Sometimes you get it the other side of the room, and I think you have like 8 seconds, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not a lot of time. That's kind of interesting. My cooldowns were a little bit off for some of these. Like I said, we didn't really have that much practice into phase 2 and phase 3, but they were fairly decent. One of the issues I had here, which I think we're going to see, is I have a boon ramp coming up. You can see But then I also get this bomb. Me and the shaman almost kill each other, but we end up sorting it out. But the issue was that because of these beams, and obviously in Mythic he does the beams 3 times. So it goes one and then another one and another one. I had already popped Rapture, maybe stupidly, and then I was out of range for like 3/4 more of the raid, so I missed a lot of that Rapture benefit. But I do think I managed to atone 19 people, 18 people. But yeah, I think the atonement started dropping off a little bit earlier than they should have. Cool. So this is entering the second intermission now.
Yeah,
Exactly the same as the first one. Again, you just want to watch out for anyone that gets the exposed Threads of Fate debuff, and you yourself want to make sure that you're 25 yards away from each of the ads. You can see I'm sort of moving around here as I kept trying to outrange them. There's a couple of people with the debuff. We actually, the reason you don't see me standing in the middle to reach the people that are doing the runes, say perhaps on the other side of the room, we actually had 2 healers assigned. I think it was our Resto Shaman and our Resto Druid. So my focus was predominantly just on the group that's doing the ads, and then of course if someone's in range, and I'll assist where I can. That's a good point to make. If you are having to stand on the runes when you're healing, so for example like the healers that are assigned to heal the rune runners, a good thing to note is with the beam that's connected to the runes that rotates around, you can actually just jump over it and it won't damage you. So you'll see I execute it here pretty well. Just jump over, no debuff. It's perfectly safe to do that.
I'll leave you to it then. Oh, do you want me to go back on?
See?
Yeah.
Yeah, the intermission's exactly the same. Honestly, it's it's generally quite smooth. If no one's taking, or if there's not a lot of damage being taken from the ad casts or from the exposed Threads of Fate, you'll be fine. The only other damage then is obviously from the ad melees, and then also everyone has this unstable accretion. I'm definitely saying that wrong. Which does, I think, 6k damage every 2 or 3 seconds to the whole raid. I didn't have any CDs assigned to that. I think it was again, I think it was the Shaman and the Resto Druid. But it's not super intense healing, so I was just chilling throughout that. So now we entered phase 3. Probably a little bit too soon. So essentially our plan, obviously this might not be what other people do, but our plan was essentially get into phase 3, wait until the first set of beams and bombs go out, and then immediately after that everyone lusts, or the raid lusts, and then everyone pops your cooldowns, because we had everything up there. We had people holding their 3 minutes. Let's hear the bombs. You'll see the beams come up. I'm in the middle of a Shadow Fiend ramp, which was a little bit mistimed actually. My evangelism wasn't up by the time I finished my ramp, just by a few seconds, but still. So now everyone's just going ham. There was a call from the raid leader for the healers to use imp pots and everything, which I won't lie to you, I don't have that on my hotbar. I'm a terrible healer. So you'll see me shamefully opening up my inventory, finding the potion and clicking it. But when you see what happens in a bit, I think you'll agree it was definitely worth it. We had an Ashen down on this, so there really wasn't that much healing to be done. I still, whenever I had a Radiance, I was throwing that out to cover the Twist Fates. The video might get a bit loud now. I might turn it down perhaps. But we are ignoring... We're doing the bombs, we're doing the beams, but we are ignoring the runes. Because, yeah, the aim is to kill the boss before this gets to 0. We actually missed that. You'll see he wipes us. But we had 2 people in pods. That was enough to... for the dots to keep rolling, I guess. But yeah, that was it. I don't really have any special tips or tricks. about this, we didn't. I feel like my my video on Painsmith was perhaps a little bit more in depth than this, as we had like I think 200 pools. So I felt like I knew that fight inside and out. For this fight, yeah, we really. I think this was the first time ever that we got to phase 3, and like we only got to phase 2 like 2 times. So I don't think any of us were expecting to kill it, but I definitely don't have the same sort of in-depth knowledge that I had on Painsmith. But in any case, I hope hope you find this video useful. Also interested to hear if you guys have any tips or anything. It's yeah, I don't know. I almost wish the boss was a little bit harder. I feel like now that everyone's geared, phase 3 is just a joke. I mean, yeah, we were close, but we did miss like 5 seconds at the start of phase 3 because we were cleaning up the ads. We probably could have held the transition just to kill the ads and then transition. But anyway, yeah, that was it. Thanks very much for watching, and yeah, see you in the next one.